everyone, Sophia here. It's day 2 of our holiday / vacation in New England. Today we are in Plymouth and we are going to see the Mayflower and the plantation. We just had breakfast. Actually, it used to be called, what was it that I said, the Hearth and Kettle, and I thought that they were closed, which they are, but they are now reopened as a CJ, so I'm going to show you some pictures. It's downstairs in the same hotel. It was good food, a little pricey, but you know what, hotel food is always the same. Most of the time I find them to be a hit and miss, but this one was a hit. It was pretty good. I had eggs Benedict over crab cake. So we are on our way to the Mayflower. It's about 3 blocks away from the hotel, not even a 15-minute walk, and we're going to visit the ship and learn all about the history of the pilgrims. So yesterday we took this street here, but we walked down. Tonight we're walking, today we're walking on this side. And I don't know if I showed you this house yesterday, but this is the site of the very first pilgrim residence, established in 1620. Of course, the house is not that old since they've, rebuilt it, but it's very pretty. And you can see the waters right here, so that makes sense. And then they have all of these residences here. So you're here looking at the whole Cape Cod Bay all the way in the background. And this is where we were yesterday. This is where Plymouth Rock is. So remember, the ship actually landed over there because it was winter, and they stayed there most of that winter and coming into the bay by little boats, one by one. But the majority of the pilgrims stayed inside the boats. the Mayflower, what's the story? 102 pilgrims, men, children, women, one captain, a few sailors. I think there was about 40 crew members. There's a bell over there that people can, strike. Anyway, so what was the story? They were initially in England, but they didn't like the transition to the Church of England. They felt that it was still too much like Catholicism. They were following initially Calvinism and Protestant church. They were very, very involved in Protestantism, but they were pushing for reform. They wanted it to be even more strict. They got to a point where they almost got banned entirely in England. They were persecuted. People did not want them there. The Church of England was basically, listen, that's enough, okay? This is the Church of England. This is the country's religion. You don't like it, go somewhere else. So they ended up going to the Netherlands. So they got in Holland as pretty much expatriates, and they stayed there for a few years. Some of them, including Brewsters, used to send back pamphlets and literature about Protestantism and their need for reform back to England. And eventually that got discovered too, because they used to stash the stuff as clandestine literature inside cargoes that were leaving Holland going into England. So they're starting to get in trouble in Holland as well. So they figure out, all right, let's just ask for a charter. We're going to put some money together. Let's try to see if we can come to the New World. It took a few years to get a ship commissioned. So they finally left Holland. Some of them had to stay behind because not everybody could leave. I mean, this was a much bigger congregation than what you got available on the ship. And remember, they were packed like sardines in there. So they end up going to England. They commissioned 2 ships. They have the Speedwell and the Mayflower. Within about 300 miles off the coast of England, the Speedwell starts taking on water. They have to go back to England and switch their cargo back to the Mayflower, which makes it even more difficult for them, because now we got people who couldn't be on the Mayflower anymore because of the new cargo. And then they took sail, and they were supposed to go to Virginia initially, and they landed up in Cape Cod because navigation. And that's the reason why they ended up here so late, almost in the winter. I think they landed, when did they land, Willie?
I think during the winter.
They weren't, yeah, it was either late November or early December. So they got stuck here in winter. They were supposed to arrive at the beginning of fall season so that they could start planting vegetables. Well, that didn't work out. So they landed here. Initially, they were friendly with the indigenous people who helped them, hence the first Thanksgiving. That was the following year. But a lot of them did not survive the voyage. A lot of them died en route. Some of them died while they were still here on Cape Cod doing the back and forth. A lot of them became sick and died on board the ship before they even landed in Plymouth. So that's pretty much the story of the Pilgrims. That's how they got here. Interestingly enough, they were very progressive for that time. It was a difficult time for people to come here. I mean, if you think about it, they had to take some serious courage to just take a voyage like this, leave everything behind, including your family. Some of them left their wives and children behind. Some of them came back later on and joined them. For the most part, it was just a brand new world, no idea what to expect. Pretty rough conditions, but they were the forefathers, so there you have it. They did have quite a few fights on board the ship, and eventually they ended up writing something called the Mayflower Compact, which was kind of like a code of ethics. And I just learned the other day that the Mayflower Compact is actually the basis of the Declaration of Independence. So Pilgrims were definitely forefathers and kind of gave us a compass for how this country was to be governed later on in life. So that's my little story about the Pilgrims. I hope you enjoyed that tour. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we are on our way to Plymouth Patuxet, which is basically the old plantation. It's the replica of a 17th century village. It's pretty much what would have been here in 1620 and after, but they moved it over there because obviously, you know, the town here grew. We're going to see replicas of houses the way the pilgrims established them, their gardens. I believe that they have a reservation there too for indigenous people, so you get to see them work on the stuff, and that's about it. And then we're gonna eat at a country store, Bramhall's country store, something like that. I saw that they have lobster rolls, so we may finally get a lobster roll today. But the Mayflower is really cool. So, Scott, what did you think of the Mayflower?
I liked it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
There were masts and rigs and stuff.
And stuff. Okay.
No, it was, you know, that like what I did. I guess I run it through a different filter than a lot of people because I was in service and you know, I was out to sea in the modern Navy, so I asked questions about nautical stuff and you know, that kind of thing. How they did the ranking structure on the ship, and you know, I mean, it's a little different because it's a civilian ship, so they didn't actually have a captain. One thing I wasn't aware of was the rudder situation, so that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, so let me talk about that for a second. The Mayflower does not have a wheel. You know, the big wheel. Is that what you call it, the wheel?
Yeah.
It doesn't have a wheel. It has a stick that you would move either left or right. And it took about 30 years after that is when they invented the wheel. 100 years after that. So basically, if you see movies that were supposed to happen in 16 something until 1720 or something like that, and they have a wheel on the ship. Nope, they did not have wheels back then. It was a right-left stick. Edward, what did you think of the Mayflower?
It was cool.
It was cool. Okay.
I like to see how things work, and it was cool to see, I guess, how every part of that thing worked.
Yeah. Okay. Willie,
It was big.
you thought it was big?
You thought it was big?
I've never been on a boat before. It was big to me.
All right.
Oh, you were on Lafayette's ship.
Yeah, you don't remember going to Lafayette's ship?
No.
Oh,
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, when you go to the USS Constitution tomorrow, you'll see that it's even bigger.
Yeah, that one's going to be bigger.
Right. And actually, I thought the ship itself was pretty small, and
Yeah, I did too.
it's amazing how they managed to fit 102 people in there, and they stayed there for 6 weeks voyage, and plus all the month that they stay in Cape Cod and could not come onto land because it was too cold. This was very interesting, and she was just freshly renovated for the 400th year anniversary in 2020. So if you get a chance, I would say it's worthy. It was worth there was no wait, there was barely anybody on it. It's mostly outdoors anyway. Self-directed. You only get to go on the upper deck and one deck below. You don't go into the cargo, which to me is kind of upsetting because I really wanted to see, what do you call it, the hull?
Yeah, the hull.
The hull part of the ship, because half of the ship that you see, I mean, you see the ship above water, but there's about at least that amount that's below water. This is where all of the cargo, including the animals and all of that was. And that's what I really wanted to see. But anyway, it was good. I enjoyed it. So now we're on our way to the plantation, or Patuxet, as they call it here. And we're going to enjoy some sights. Unfortunately, it's not great weather. It might rain later. We'll see. See you in a bit. Okay, here we are. This is the entrance to the 17th century village. And you're probably going to see the coastline in the back. Now, the beauty of it is that they are supposedly all dressed in 17th century attire. And they also all speak Old English. And every house has the name of one of the original settlers. So whenever you look at a house, you'll see the name, maybe say Brewster, Sparrow, all of these. So let's go check it out. I'm super excited. Let's go check this one out then. Alright, so the old thatch roof. Ooh. Oh, I hope the camera picks up. Look at that. So this is how they lived. Big fire right here. Earth, and then furniture. Putting a rug on the table. Look at the pottery. Yeah, this is fabulous. Look at that buffet. And then the ground is dirt. Bed. Another fireplace. Wow. And over there would be the garden. Oh, hello. How are you?
How are you today?
Good. Tending to the garden. What are you picking there?
Some mint that's all in my roses, so I just pick it out. Mint goes everywhere, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Have a garden?
Yes, I do.
You got it.
I grow mint too.
Good. It's a little kitchen garden for the summertime. Some things like onions and garlic, some herbs like what are these, sage, marjoram, southernwood. I can dry for the winter time.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of it I just eat in the summer. Salad herbs.
And did you bring the seeds over with you, or these were all native plants?
No, this is all what I brought as seed from England. There are some things I have found here, like there are some wild onions and garlic, some leeks, some salad herbs, but they are they are wild here. But I prefer personally what I brought from England.
The ones you know.
Exactly, the ones I'm familiar with. But there are lots of wild berries here. There are gooseberries, herberries, and we've got grapes in their season. There are cherry trees. There are plums, some as good as damson almost, and so there are good other herbs.
Wonderful, beautiful. I see some sage. Is that fennel? Or some kind of fennel? Yeah?
Fennel.
Oh yeah, definitely I smell it. And thyme?
Flower is marjoram actually. Southern wood here. Oh, this is thyme here. All flower as well. So I need to be cutting back that and saving it for the winter time as well.
And are those asparagus?
Yes, this is speargrass here.
Oh wow, that's actually the first time I get to see real asparagus.
Yes, well, if you come in the spring, you would have seen that it is, we can eat it, the little shoots. It's mostly gone to seed now, but it's one of the first things I can take out of my garden in the spring.
So what do? You then, I know it's a perennial, right? It keeps coming back.
It will come back next year. It takes a few years to get established, but now I don't have to do very much. I cut it back as I'm eating it in the spring and just leave some of it.
And so what do you do with this when it goes to seed?
I'll cut it back once it's dried and dyed back. I will cut it back so that new shoots can find their way up through the spring. But
that's exciting. It's the first time I see asparagus.
It's not useful to me. It's not really good for a salad.
That's pretty though. Okay.
Got some radishes there.
I see that, radishes, and you got some lettuce. What is this one?
Mullen?
Oh, that's mullen?
The one with the big broad leaves there?
Yes.
Yes, that is mullen.
And that one you can use as a wrap for a wound or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's good for hemorrhoids and that sort of thing. Mary, my sister-in-law, she's from the south of England, from Kent. She was saying that her father said they would put sometimes the leaves of it in kettle water, for it was good for their lungs. But
oh, really?
That I'm not from Kent.
I didn't know that.
I think
wow.
It's from Kent. I don't know.
Is that a type of berry?
That is something that needs to come out. Actually, that's a sort of tree, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's in hiding. But there is sorrel back there, chives.
And what are these?
Borage.
Oh, that's borage. I've never seen it before. Now, what do you do with borage?
The flowers of it can make a conserve. They'll gladden the heart. Can put them on salads in the summertime. A conserve is flowers pounded up with sugar.
Oh, okay.
And so that is a sort of medicine.
Wonderful.
Could have done wood chips, couldn't they?
They could have done wood chips, yeah, I suppose. So everybody's got their own little garden here. Houses are beautiful. I see some ovens over there. I want to go see this house. So basically what they did is that they went by, this one has planks of wood. I don't know if you see that. So anyway, so they looked at the literature and documents, you know, that they had from those times to kind of recreate what it must have looked like. So we got some sort of kitchen here. All manner of cooking instruments.
carried snow on that first winter here.
It's true the lads family lost snow in that first year when God called so many others home, but I must say, Jack, that I was very disappointed in you when I started paying that tour back. Since that time, when you're on half rations on account of the length we're paying it,
So you see what they do? So they start by having a garden, right? And when they want the garden to be cleaned out, they bring in the pigs, and the pigs basically dig up everything. It's like instead of having a tiller, you just bring a pig. See how he's digging? And then he produces manure for the following year. So then the garden is ready to be planted again. Everything has been taken out, almost. That's how you use nature to your advantage. So you don't need a tiller, you just need a pig. Now here's another fabulous garden. Look at that. Cabbage, chives, collard greens. And they plant everything mixed together. All of it. Look at these. These are pumpkins. They have white pumpkins. It's fabulous. What do you think, guys? See, that's the kind of garden that I want. Everything mixed together. That was the idea. There's onions. See more pumpkins hidden over here in that patch. Oh, look at this one. I'm hearing noise. Oh boy. I guess these are goats. There's some serious horns right there. Well, they didn't have much. Remember, they came in on the ship and they could only bring stuff that they could carry. Like they may have, like the entire content of their life may have been in just one big hutch like this, you know. And then later on, they had the other ones imported. Once they were settled, they could order things like this one. And then of course they had people making the other stuff, but it's fascinating to me how they lived. These were harsh conditions, really harsh conditions, but that was their choice, you see. They preferred living under these conditions than being persecuted for their beliefs. So that tells you something about human resilience, and when freedom of speech and freedom of religion is more important than anything else, you're willing to sacrifice everything for it. Everything. And that's what these people did. I loved it. I loved Patuxet. It was awesome. Everything about it was wonderful. The actors, they are so into it, and they know the history. The lady with the garden, she was awesome. I hope you could hear it because I had the microphone on me. The gardens, the animals, the costumes, the interior decor, the history, the atmosphere, everything. It was so good. Like, wow. I would come back. He's sleeping. Look at this guy. All right, Scott, what do you think? How was the plantation of Plymouth Patuxet?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah.
Come on.
I liked it. It was very authentic. They really put an awful lot of effort into making you feel as though you were in that time period and the kind of things that you would see.
Right.
And the way that they did it, you know, it's a little bit like when I was a kid and we would go to Williamsburg, Virginia, and you go to the colonial side. And you know, they're doing things there like making silver or whatever. This is kind of the same thing. And they're not making silver or anything like that. They're kind of just showing you and living through it the whole experience of what it would have been like in 1620 something to live there, and what it would. You know, that first year, you know, it's dirty. They got dirt floors. They got
yeah, it's totally immersive.
Yeah, they got the single room or maybe 2 rooms in a house, and a fireplace that keeps the whole place warm, and then the Indian thing, the Native American part, where they show you the hut. I forget what the house was called, but they show you the house and explain to you how that kept them warm. And apparently the ones that they have there is like 1/3 the size of what, or 1/3 or 1/4 the size of what they really were. So, you know, that's really quite remarkable.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. It was really cool. Okay, Willie.
I liked how you got a glimpse into how pilgrims lived.
Mm-hmm.
I also liked the animals they had there.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, very nice.
Okay. Very good. So you had a good time?
Yeah.
That you liked it. Okay. Ed?
I like the architecture of a lot of the places and seeing how a lot of things were built. I also like that section on medicine. That was pretty cool. Like,
yeah.
it was interesting because, like, I mean, they're obviously, a lot of what they said was, like, kind of outdated, but it's kind of interesting seeing that, like, it's kind of all empirical.
Oh, wow. That's a big word.
Well,
okay.
it's all stuff that they saw happen and just made conclusions based on that.
Right. True.
Like on a surface level. They weren't, like, looking at people's bodies or examining chemicals.
Yeah, but listen, medicinal plants, people still use those. There's a lot of people who still use that stuff.
Right.
It's not, I mean, it's a lot of Chinese medicine is based on plants, for instance. Indian, same thing, you know, in India. But anyway, some of the plants that they showed are plants that I myself planted in the garden, and they're going to need about 2 more 3 years to get to mature size so they can be used. But they had feverfew. I saw they were using feverfew and chamomile and borage, all sorts of things. So that was, yeah, the distillation and the use of the medicinal plant, that was really interesting. Anyway, I strongly recommend that you stop by. It was phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. It would have been better in a sunny day, just for picture purposes, so you have a nice sky. But otherwise, it was great. So now we are at Bramhall Country Store, which is half a mile from Patuxet, and supposedly they have food and other stuff. So we're going to check it out because we are all very hungry. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We need to have lunch.